There are people in our lives whose presence is not just unnoticed, they leave a mark, a silent imprint. And often that mark is destructive. They don't have to shout. They don't have to shout. They don't need to wave a flag. In fact, their work is done in whispers, in subtle nudges, in the shadows where most can't see. These are the people who silently destroy your character. What makes them so dangerous is that they don't come at you with open force. They come at you in the quietest of ways, planting seeds of doubt, planting seeds of suspicion, or even planting seeds of division. They are the masters of manipulation, but they wear a mask of kindness or concern. They wear a mask of friendship, but their words, their actions, they are not built to build you up. They are designed to bring you down. They operate in ways that are almost invisible. They don't have to attack you directly. They just have to make you question yourself, question your worth. They drop little comments here and there that make you feel insecure. They tell you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. But they do it in such a way that it feels like it's your own self-doubt, not theirs. They don't need to directly insult you. They only need to plant a seed, and over time, that seed grows into a full-fledged lie that you start to believe. And they don't do it just once. They do it over time, piece by piece, chip by chip. A comment here, a whisper there, and soon enough they've created an environment where you question every decision you make, every step you take, and every person you trust. They are not concerned about the truth. They are concerned with the control, the power they have over your mind, your heart, your life. What's even more dangerous is that these people often operate under the guise of concern. They come to you with advice wrapped in sweetness, but their advice is not meant to help, it's meant to help, it's meant to hurt. They criticize your choices under the guise of trying to help. You do better, but they are not offering a hand of guidance. They're offering a chain to bind you to their way of thinking. They know how to get inside your mind. They know how to make you feel like you're the problem. They know how to make you doubt your instincts, your decisions, your values. They have a way of turning the truth inside out. And if you're not careful, they will distort reality to the point where you don't know which way is up anymore. But it's not just their words that destroy. They create an environment of suspicion. They sow division where unity should be. They make you question the people around you, make you feel isolated in your own space. They turn friends into foes and allies into enemies, all while maintaining their innocence. They're the masters of playing the victim, making you feel like you're the one who is wrong, that you're the one who is causing the problem, when in reality they are the ones pulling the strings in the background. These individuals know something. The greatest weapon they have is not their words, but your mind. They know that once they control your mind, they control your actions, your emotions, your reactions. They know that if they can plant enough doubt in you, they can cause you to fall into self-destruction. Because they understand the power of belief. Once you believe the lie, once you accept their perception of reality as your own, you begin to destroy yourself. But what they don't know, what they fail to realize, is that you were not created to be a puppet. You were not designed to live in fear, to live in doubt, or to live in silence. You were created to stand strong, to be resilient, to rise above the whispers, the lies, and the manipulation. You are more than their words. You are more than their schemes. You were made for greatness, and no one can take that from you unless you give it to them. So when you find yourself in the presence of such individuals, remember they are not your reflection. Their manipulation is a reflection of their insecurity, their fear, their need to control. Your value, your identity, your character is not defined by what they say or do. It is defined by what you believe about yourself. Don't let their silent destruction become your silent acceptance. Stay rooted in who you are. Stand firm in your truth. Be aware of the ones who try to break you down with their silence, because their silence is their weapon, but your strength is your shield. And when you stand in your strength, no one, no whisper, no lie can take away the essence of who you are. You are more than enough, and you were made for more than they could ever take from you. There are certain individuals who enter your life under the guise of being your friend, your confidante, or even a close colleague. These individuals often seem harmless at first. They may smile when they see you, ask how you're doing, offer what appears to be helpful advice, and make you feel like you matter in their world. But what's disturbing and what's dangerous about these people is that beneath their seemingly innocent exterior lies a force that is bent on destroying something far more valuable than just your trust. They are intent on destroying your character, not with loud accusations or obvious attacks, but with the quiet, insidious manipulation that slowly chips away at your confidence, your self-worth, and your peace of mind. And they do all of this silently. These are the people who do not need to raise their voices to bring harm into your life. They only need to raise their words, their subtle insinuations, and their false narratives. These individuals, though they may present themselves as your friends, often operate with the sole intention of breaking you down. But they don't do it through brute force. Instead, they use cunning and strategy, employing methods that are much harder to recognize. Their weapons are words that are cloaked in sugar-coated kindness, disguised as concern or help. They don't tell you outright that you are inferior or unworthy. They don't scream at you or belittle you to your face. Instead, they choose to plant a seed of doubt, to question your actions, to challenge your decisions, to make you second-guess your worth. They don't attack you directly. They attack the very essence of your confidence. At first, the impact of these subtle remarks might seem harmless. It might be a suggestion that perhaps you should be more like someone else, a comparison that starts as a compliment but leaves you feeling less than adequate. It might be a passing comment about how someone else is succeeding while you are still struggling. They might comment on how someone in your circle seems to be more competent, more talented, more capable, even though they know nothing of your journey, your struggles, or the unique gifts you bring into this world. The more these words are planted, the more the seed of self-doubt begins to take root in your mind. They've planted a lie, and in the fertile ground of your insecurity, that lie begins to grow. It may not grow quickly at first, but over time it deepens, becomes stronger, and soon it dominates your thoughts. The problem with these types of individuals is that they know how to control the narrative. They know how to manipulate perceptions. They know how to create doubt without seeming to do anything wrong. They don't necessarily lie about you directly, but they tell half-truths that paint you in a light that leaves you questioning yourself. Maybe they make a joke about your performance, but the joke stings just a little more than it should. Or maybe they criticize the way you handle a difficult situation, but do so in a way that suggests that you could have done better without ever giving you the chance to explain yourself or defend your choices. These subtle remarks build up over time, and soon you begin to internalize them. You start to believe them. You start to see yourself through the distorted lens that they have crafted for you. What's even more dangerous is that they do not only manipulate you, they manipulate the people around you. They know how to create division, how to cause confusion, how to make you feel isolated. In the midst of their quiet attack, they might whisper to others behind your back. Speaking of your flaws, your inadequacies, and your weaknesses, they spread rumors. Not out of malice, but out of the desire to tear down the foundation of who you are. And because their manipulation is so subtle, those around you may never even realize what's happening. They may start to question you too, or worse, they may distance themselves from you without even understanding why. They have turned the very people who should be your allies into silent observers, quietly watching you fall apart while you remain unaware of the influence these people have over your life. They do not need to outright tell you that you are not good enough. They don't need to directly criticize you. They just need to make you feel like you are not measuring up. They just need to make you feel like you are always behind, always falling short, always missing the mark. They undermine your self-esteem, erode your confidence, and leave you in a state of constant self-questioning. And the cruelest part of it all is that you might not even recognize it until the damage has been done. These silent destroyers operate in the shadows, where they are not easily detected. They do not announce their true intentions. They do not declare themselves as enemies. They wear a mask of friendship, a mask of concern, while silently dismantling your self-worth piece by piece. But what they fail to understand is that while they may be masters of deception, they can never truly control who you are unless you let them. They can try to control the narrative, to plant their seeds of doubt, to twist your reality. But they do not have the power to define your character unless you allow them to do so. The more they try to make you question yourself, the more you must stand firm in who you are. You must recognize that their words are not the truth. They are nothing more than distractions. Distractions meant to distract you, of course, meant to shake your foundation, meant to convince you that you are less than who you are meant to be. You see, these individuals are not just attacking your character, they are attacking your very essence. They are trying to make you forget your purpose, your calling, your value. But in doing so, they only reveal their own insecurities. They try to pull you down to their level because they are afraid of your potential, of your power, of the greatness that resides within you. They are afraid that if you rise to the full measure of your potential, they will be left behind. They cannot stand to see you succeed because it highlights their own fears, their own failures. So they attempt to destroy your confidence, to make you feel inferior, to make you believe that you are not capable of achieving your dreams. But here's the truth that they cannot steal from you. Your value is not determined by their opinions. Your worth is not defined by their manipulation. You were not created to be anyone's victim. You were created to rise above the lies, to rise above the whisper campaigns, to rise above the negativity. Your identity, your character, is not defined by the opinions of others. It is defined by your own beliefs, by your own choices, by the strength that you carry within you. When you stand firm in who you are, when you hold on to the truth of your identity, no one can touch you. No one can steal your peace. No one can make you doubt your worth. Yes, their words may sting for a moment, and yes, their manipulation may shake you temporarily. But as long as you refuse to let them define you, as long as you continue to walk in the truth of who you are, you cannot be destroyed. Their power over you lies in your ability to believe their lies. When you stop believing their lies, they lose their power. It's not easy, though. It's not easy to deal with people who silently destroy your character. Sometimes their words are so smooth, so subtle, that you don't even realize what's happening. Sometimes the damage isn't apparent right away. It takes time for the effects to manifest. But it's important to recognize the signs early, to see the ways in which they manipulate the narrative, to see the ways in which they twist the truth. And when you see it, when you recognize it, you must take a stand. You must choose not to give them the power to control your life. You have to protect your mind, protect your heart, and protect your spirit. You must surround yourself with people who lift you up, who encourage you, who remind you of your worth when you begin to forget. You must be vigilant against the subtle ways in which people try to distort the truth. And when you encounter these silent destroyers, you must stand strong, stand firm, and refuse to let them shake your identity. Your value, your character, is not something that can be taken away. It is something that is built from within. It is something that no one can take from you unless you give it to them. And if you don't give it to them, they can never destroy it. Remember, the silent destroyers may come into your life with their subtle manipulations, their whispers, their lies. But they can only succeed if you allow them to. You were made for something greater than their schemes. You were made for purpose, for power, for greatness. Stand in that truth. Stand in your strength. And when you do, no one can touch you. No one can tear you down. And no one can ever destroy the character that you were created to embody. These individuals who seek to destroy your character silently do so because they are experts in the art of manipulation. They are subtle architects of doubt, planting their seeds in the fertile ground of your insecurities. They are not outwardly violent, not openly hostile. Instead, they operate with a quiet precision, knowing that the most dangerous wounds are those that cannot be seen. They are masters of camouflage, experts in blending into the background of your life while causing untold damage. In their silence, they hold a power that is difficult to identify, but no less harmful for being hidden. They do not need to shout to make you question your worth, to make you question your value, your abilities, your very essence. They simply need to speak words that insinuate, to create situations that cause you to look at yourself through a distorted lens. It begins with small things. Perhaps they make an offhand comment about something you did or didn't do, and at first you laugh it off, brushing it aside. But with each comment, with each slight, the seed of doubt begins to grow. And this isn't just about criticism, it's about undermining your sense of self, chipping away at the foundation of who you are until eventually you find yourself questioning the most basic truths about your identity. They don't tell you directly that you are not good enough, that you are incapable, that you are not worthy of respect or success. Instead, they plant the suggestion, carefully and deliberately, that perhaps you aren't as capable as you think, that perhaps there is a better way to do things, that perhaps others are more suited for the task you've taken on. The effect is gradual, like the slow erosion of a cliffside over time. You don't always notice it at first, but eventually you look back and realize that a significant part of your self-confidence has been eroded away. What makes their manipulation so effective is that it often appears to be in your best interest. These individuals know how to cloak their words in kindness, how to make their criticism seem like advice, how to present their negativity as concern. It's easy to dismiss the first few jabs. After all, they are just trying to help, right? But as these words accumulate, they start to build a narrative. And that narrative is designed to make you question yourself, to make you feel inferior, to make you doubt your value in a world that is already harsh and unforgiving. It is not the loud, brash attacks that hurt the most. It is the quiet, constant stream of subtle messages that weigh you down, that leave you wondering if you truly measure up. These individuals don't always work alone. Often they operate in groups, turning people against you without you even realizing it. They know how to create divisions, how to turn your closest allies into silent observers, unsure of what to believe, unsure of whether or not they should stand by you. They whisper behind your back, not necessarily with the intention of destroying you, but with the goal of making others see you as flawed, as someone who is not as perfect as they may appear. It's the quiet gossip, the half-hearted insinuations, the harmless remarks that take root in the minds of others and eventually chip away at your reputation. They play on the fears and insecurities of others, turning those who should support you into quiet skeptics. And in doing so, they create a web of confusion and division that you are left to untangle alone. This kind of attack is particularly insidious because it is rarely ever direct. You won't hear them tell you to your face that you are a failure or that you'll never make it. Instead, they will suggest that maybe you should consider doing something different, something that aligns with what they think you should be. They will tell you that maybe you need to tone it down or try harder or be more like so-and-so. They know how to present their criticism as an opportunity for growth, So you end up second guessing yourself. You wonder if there's truth to what they're saying. You begin to believe their version of who you are. And as you lose sight of your own truth, you lose your footing. You begin to believe that the lies they planted are somehow your reality. And in doing so, you give them the power to destroy you. One of the most dangerous things about these silent destroyers is that they often operate in plain sight. They don't hide in the shadows. They don't have to. They use the very tools that are supposed to help you advice, feedback, concern against you. They create a version of you that only they see, and because you respect their judgment, because you trust their words, you start to believe that their version of you is the truth. And slowly but surely you lose touch with the person you once were, the person you were meant to be. They take your self-confidence, your clarity, and your purpose, and they replace it with doubt, confusion, and insecurity. And in doing so, they destroy the very character that was once your guiding force. You might be wondering, how do you protect yourself from this kind of silent destruction? How do you defend against these quiet attacks that undermine your spirit? The answer is deceptively simple. You must guard your heart and your mind against the lies. You must learn to recognize the subtle ways in which others seek to manipulate you, to control you, to make you feel less than you are. It's not enough to just reject outright criticism or negativity. You must learn to discern the motivations behind the words. Not every criticism is meant to help you. Not every word of advice is designed to lift you up. Sometimes it is simply a tool of control, a weapon of manipulation meant to leave you uncertain of your place in the world. You must also remember that the person who is trying to destroy your character is not a reflection of you, but of them. Their manipulation is not about you, it is about their own insecurities, their own fears, and their own desires to control what they cannot understand. They see your potential, and it scares them. They see your strength, and it makes them feel weak. They see your ability to rise above challenges, and it reminds them of their own failures. So they work tirelessly to make you question everything about yourself. Because the truth is that your success and your strength make them feel inadequate. They would rather tear you down than face the reality of their own fears and limitations. You must also surround yourself with people who see you for who you truly are. People who value your worth, who encourage you to rise, to grow, to become everything you were created to be. Not everyone will see the truth of your character, but the ones who do will be your shields, your support system, your reminder of who you are when the world seems to be telling you something different. These people will stand by you, not because they are blind to your flaws, but because they see your potential, they see your heart, they see the greatness within you, and they will help you hold on to that truth. And when you come across those who seek to destroy your character with their subtle attacks, with their whispers and insinuations, remember this: they cannot take what they never gave. Your character, your identity, your worth were never theirs to define in the first place. They may try to break you down. They may attempt to manipulate your mind. They may even succeed in planting seeds of doubt. But they can never strip you of the core of who you are unless you allow it. Your strength, your resilience, your greatness are already within you. No one, no whisper, no subtle remark can take that from you unless you choose to let it. And once you realize that the true power lies not in their words but in your response, you will no longer be a victim of their silent destruction. You will rise above their manipulation. You will stand firm in your truth, and no one will be able to take from you what you have already claimed for yourself. It's not about what they say about you, it's about what you say about yourself. It's not about the lies they tell, it's about the truth you believe. And once you understand that the only voice that matters is the one that comes from within, you will never again be vulnerable to the silent attacks of those who seek to destroy your character. Because no one can take away what you have already built. No one can steal the greatness you were born with. The only way they can succeed in tearing you down is if you allow them to. And the only way they win is if you forget who you truly are. So hold fast to your truth. Stand tall in your worth. And when those silent destroyers come into your life, look them square in the eye and let them know that their manipulation, their words, their whispers have no power over you. Because the truth of who you are will always rise above the lies they try to plant. Your character, your identity, your spirit are unshakable. And that is something no one can ever take from you. There are moments in life when the most insidious forms of harm do not come from direct confrontation, nor from the loud voices of critics who are easy to recognize. The most dangerous kinds of attacks are those that are barely perceptible, the ones that are barely felt at first, but over time, they begin to eat away at your sense of self. These are the quiet attacks, the silent destroyers, the people who set their sights on breaking you down without ever making it obvious. They strike at the very heart of your identity, eroding your confidence, your peace, and your clarity, all while maintaining an innocent facade. This kind of attack is particularly challenging to fight against because it's so well disguised. It's not the angry confrontation where the intent is loud and clear. It's not the blatant insult or overt attack where you can immediately defend yourself or protect your sense of worth. No, the silent destroyers work in the shadows, quietly planting seeds of doubt, insecurity, and confusion. They never tell you outright that you aren't good enough or capable enough. Instead, they whisper the idea to you, they suggest it, they imply it, and over time, their suggestions begin to feel like truth. What makes this kind of attack so insidious is that it can take years to realize that it's happening. At first, you might dismiss their comments as harmless advice or as offhand remarks that don't really matter. You might think, oh, they're just concerned or they're only trying to help, but the truth is, what they're doing is much more dangerous than it first appears. They are sowing doubt where confidence should be. They are introducing a false narrative that suggests you aren't enough, that you don't measure up, that you need to change in ways that are not in alignment with who you really are. They begin with small, almost imperceptible comments. Maybe it's a remark about how you could have handled the situation differently, even though the outcome was not within your control. Or maybe it's a comparison to someone else who is doing better. In some area of life, making you feel as though you're falling behind. Perhaps it's a little criticism wrapped in the guise of helpful feedback. Have you thought about doing it this way? It might be better than the way you're doing it. These kinds of remarks seem harmless on the surface, but when repeated over time, they chip away at your self-esteem and your confidence. They create an environment where you start to question everything you do, even the smallest of decisions, and suddenly you're not sure who you are anymore. The people who are engaged in this kind of quiet manipulation are experts at making it seem like they have your best interests at heart. They hide their true intentions behind a veil of kindness, offering their advice as though it is a gift. They'll tell you they're just trying to help, but what they really want is control. They want to control how you see yourself, how you view your worth, how you define your purpose. They want to create doubt, because doubt is the key to their power. Once they've made you doubt yourself, once they've planted those seeds, they can start to manipulate your choices, your actions, your responses. They can shape your world by making you believe that you cannot trust your instincts, your decisions, or your own vision of who you are. Over time, these subtle, silent attacks begin to add up. You begin to second-guess yourself more and more. At first, it's just a minor shift. Maybe you feel a little unsure about a decision you once felt confident in. But gradually, you find yourself questioning your worth on a larger scale. You start to doubt your abilities, your strengths, your worthiness of success. You begin to look at others and wonder why they seem to have it all together while you are constantly struggling. You start to feel inferior, like everyone around you is more capable, more worthy, more deserving than you are. And it's not because they've outright told you that you're not enough. It's because they've been so effective at planting seeds of doubt in your mind that you've started to believe the lie. The hardest part about these silent destroyers is that they often succeed in their mission without you ever realizing what they've done. They don't attack you head on, and they certainly don't make their motives obvious. Instead, they go after the core of who you are, your sense of self-worth, and they do it quietly. By the time you recognize the damage, it may be too late. You've already internalized their doubts and their criticisms, and it becomes hard to distinguish their voice from your own. Their doubts become your doubts. Their fears become your fears. And eventually, you begin to lose sight of who you truly are. It's important to understand, though, that these people don't have this power because of some inherent ability to see through your facade. They have this power because you've allowed them to define your worth. They are only successful in their manipulation if you begin to believe their version of who you are. Their words don't have power over you unless you give them the power to shape your reality. You are the one who must ultimately choose whether or not to accept the lies they are feeding you. One of the most dangerous aspects of these silent destroyers is that they often operate in social circles where their influence spreads. They may not target you directly, but by quietly planting seeds of doubt in the minds of those around you, they begin to shift the way others view you. They know how to play on the insecurities of others, how to make people question your intentions, your abilities, your value. And because their tactics are so subtle, it can be nearly impossible for those around you to realize that they're being manipulated. They might start to see you in the way that these destroyers have painted you a little less capable, a little less worthy, a little less trustworthy. This kind of attack is especially damaging because it's not just about one person trying to tear you down. It's about a collective shift in perception. It's about creating doubt in the minds of others so that they too start to question your value. And once that seed is planted, it grows, often beyond your control. People who once your allies, who once saw your potential, can begin to see you through the same lens of doubt that has been so carefully constructed. And when this happens, it's easy to feel isolated, abandoned, and alone. You may start to feel as though the world is turning against you, as though everyone is questioning you, judging you, seeing you as less than you are. But here's the truth: the people who do this, the ones who manipulate perceptions and destroy your character from the shadows, are not doing so because they see something wrong with you. They are doing it because they are afraid. They are afraid of your light, of your potential, of the things you can accomplish. They are afraid that if you stand in your truth, if you rise to your full potential, it will highlight their own shortcomings. They will see their own failures reflected in your success, and that frightens them. So rather than face their own fears, rather than confront their own insecurities, they will do everything they can to pull you down, to make you question your worth, and to diminish your light. Because when you shine brightly, it exposes the darkness within them. It is important to recognize that these individuals are not your reflection. They are projecting their own fears, their own insecurities, their own doubts onto you. They are not seeing you for who you truly are. They are seeing you through the lens of their own unhealed wounds, their own sense of inadequacy. And when they try to tear you down, it is not a reflection of your worth, it is a reflection of their inability to accept their own limitations. The truth is, they are not the ones who define your value. No one but you has the power to decide your worth. Your worth is not determined by their opinions, their criticisms, or their attempts to manipulate you. Your worth is inherent, built into who you are, and nothing they do can take that from you unless you allow it. The minute you stop seeking validation from others, the minute you stop allowing them to shape your sense of self, you take back the power they once had over you. And this is where your strength lies. You must recognize that your value is not tied to how others see you or what they say about you. It is tied to who you are at your core. Your true essence cannot be defined by those who seek to manipulate or control you. You were created for greatness, for purpose, for something much larger than what these silent destroyers could ever try to reduce you to. And when you recognize that truth, when you stand in that truth, no one can take your power away. No one can diminish your worth. No one can destroy the character that is uniquely yours, because it is not defined by their lies. Your strength comes from knowing who you are. Your strength comes from being rooted in the truth of your identity. The silent destroyers may try to plant seeds of doubt in your mind, but when you know who you are, when you are confident in your own worth, those seeds cannot take root. They will wither and die because you will not nourish them. Instead, you will nourish the truth of your identity, the truth of your purpose, and the truth of your potential. And so when you come across these silent destroyers in your life, when you encounter those who seek to tear you down from the shadows, remember this: they can only succeed if you allow them to. They can only manipulate you if you give them the power to shape your sense of self. But if you stand firm in the truth of who you are, if you know your worth, and if you refuse to accept their false narrative, they cannot touch you. They may whisper their doubts, but you will no longer hear them. They may try to plant their seeds of confusion, but you will recognize them for what they are: empty lies meant to distort the truth of your being. The first step in defending yourself against these silent attacks is awareness. It's about becoming attuned to the subtle ways in which people try to manipulate your perception of yourself. It's not always the loud, obvious actions that cause harm, but the quiet ones, the words that are said behind your back, the subtle jabs disguised as helpful advice, the offhand remarks meant to make you question your competence or your worth. When you begin to recognize these actions for what they are, you can start to guard your heart against them. But simply recognizing the manipulation is not enough. It's about being willing to confront it. The silent destroyers thrive on your silence. They thrive when you remain passive, when you allow their words to settle into your mind without challenge. They know that if they can plant the seed of doubt, if they can make you unsure of yourself, then they have already won. But when you stand up for yourself, when you refuse to let their negativity define you, something powerful happens. You stop being a passive participant in their narrative and start to take control of your own story. This doesn't mean that you have to confront them directly or react with anger or defensiveness. Often the best way to deal with these individuals is to rise above their tactics, to remain calm and confident in the face of their subtle attempts to undermine you. You don't have to engage with their negativity. In fact, the best response to their manipulation is often no response at all. You don't need to defend yourself against every little comment or insinuation. Your worth does not need to be justified to anyone. Instead, simply continue walking in your truth, continue pursuing your purpose with confidence, and let the results of your actions speak for themselves. When you stop giving power to their words, when you stop allowing their opinions to dictate your sense of self-worth, you start to take back control. You reclaim your identity and your purpose. And the more you stand firm in your truth, the less power they have to affect you. It's not that their words won't sting from time to time, it's just that their ability to harm you diminishes the moment you recognize that their words do not define you. One of the most important aspects of protecting your character in the face of these silent attacks is to cultivate a deep sense of self-awareness. This means understanding your strengths and weaknesses, knowing what you stand for, and being in touch with your values. When you know who you are and what you believe in, no one can shake you. They may try to distort the image you have of yourself, but if you are grounded in your sense of self, they will not succeed. Your self-awareness becomes your armor against the attacks of others. When you are clear about who you are, there is no room for doubt to take root. At the same time, it's important to surround yourself with people who see you for who you truly are, who support you and encourage you to grow. The influence of the silent destroyers is much stronger when you isolate yourself or surround yourself with people who are indifferent to your well-being. But when you have people in your life who love and support you, people who believe in you even when you falter, their positive influence acts as a counterbalance to the negativity you might encounter. These people will remind you of your worth when you forget. They will hold you accountable when you lose sight of your purpose. And they will stand with you against those who try to tear you down. You must also take responsibility for what you allow into your mind and heart. The people around you will not always be able to shield you from negativity, but you can choose to protect yourself by refusing to let harmful thoughts or toxic influences take root. This means being careful about who you allow into your life, being selective about the kind of advice you take, and being vigilant about the voices you listen to. You cannot control the actions of others, but you can control the narrative you choose to believe. Do not allow the words of silent destroyers to shape your self-perception. Only you have the right to define who you are. In this process, it's also important to recognize that there are no perfect people. We all have flaws, we all have areas where we can grow, and we all make mistakes. The difference between those who are able to stand strong and those who are torn apart by others' words is not that one group is flawless, but that they are able to accept their imperfections without letting them define them. They know that their worth is not contingent upon being perfect. They understand that the people who seek to destroy them are only projecting their own insecurities, and they rise above it. This doesn't mean that you should never listen to constructive criticism. It doesn't mean that you should shut yourself off from feedback or refuse to learn from others. What it means is that you must develop the discernment to separate helpful feedback from manipulative criticism. You must learn to recognize the difference between someone who is genuinely interested in your growth and someone who is simply trying to tear you down to feel better about themselves. When you know the difference, you can sift through the noise and focus only on what helps you become better, stronger, and more aligned with your true purpose. At times, the silent destroyers may try to undermine your confidence by highlighting your failures or your perceived shortcomings. They may use your mistakes as ammunition to reinforce their false narrative about you. But it's important to remember that mistakes do not define your character. Failures are not a reflection of your worth. They are simply opportunities to learn, to grow, and to improve. When others attempt to use your failures against you, remind yourself that they are not failures, but stepping stones on the path to your success. You will stumble, you will make mistakes, but those things do not have the power to ruin you. You are defined not by your mistakes, but by your resilience in the face of them. There will always be people who seek to undermine your progress, who will try to pull you down to make themselves feel better. But you do not have to let them win. You do not have to give them control over your story. When you stand strong in your truth, when you know who you are and what you are capable of, they cannot touch you. They may try to plant seeds of doubt, but you will see them for what they are: empty, unfounded lies. You will reject them. And with each rejection, you will grow stronger, more resilient, and more sure of yourself. The silent destroyers will always be there, lurking in the background, trying to chip away at your confidence and your self-worth. But you are not defined by their words or their manipulation. You are defined by your own truth, by your own beliefs, by the strength and character that you build for yourself each day. They cannot destroy you unless you let them. They cannot take your power unless you give it to them. And when you realize this, when you understand that the only voice that matters is the one you choose to listen to, the voice that tells you who you are, what you stand for, and what you are capable of, no one can touch you. No one can break you. No one can destroy the character that you've worked so hard to build. You are the author of your own story, and no one else can write it for you. So stand firm, stay true to yourself, and never allow anyone to take away your power, because you are stronger than any attempt to tear you down. You are greater than any lie they try to plant in your mind. And as long as you stand in the truth of who you are, you will always rise above their attempts to destroy your character. In the end, the silent destroyers may come and go, trying to plant seeds of doubt and insecurity, attempting to shake your foundation with their subtle whispers. But remember this, their words only have the power you give them. They may try to shape your narrative, but the truth is they cannot define you. Your worth, your identity, your value, these are not determined by the opinions of others. They are rooted in the core of who you are, in the strength you carry, and in the purpose that drives you forward. You have the power to choose what you believe about yourself. You have the power to stand firm in your truth, no matter how loudly or how quietly the forces around you try to undermine it. And when you know your worth, when you are grounded in the certainty of who you are, no whisper, no insinuation, no subtle attack can tear you down. You are greater than their doubts. You are stronger than their attempts to manipulate your sense of self. The character you've built, the strength you possess, and the purpose you are walking toward are unshakable. No one can take that from you unless you allow it. And when you stand in the full truth of who you are, you will rise above it all. So don't let the silent destroyers dictate your worth. Don't let their manipulation shape your reality. Rise in your power. Stand in your truth. And know that you are enough, always have been, always will be. Your character is yours to define, and no one can take that from you.